Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me, Kevin, at Borderlines today. So today what I thought I'd talk about is remigration. And this is a subject I've never really come across. Okay, and I only came across it because I often watch Andrew Gold's Heretics podcast, amongst quite a few other podcasts that I do watch. And I was watching the premiere and he had Steve Laws on. Now, Steve Laws, I'd never even heard of. He could have been the guy next door for all I know, because I'd never heard of him. And I watched it, and I did a video after it, and I gave him quite a bad rap. I was a bit out of order towards Steve Laws. To be honest, Andrew Gold did a very good job of making him look stupid, and he probably didn't deserve it. Okay, so I thought, right, it's going down a bit deeper into it. So I've had a bit further look at it. Okay, and I went and watched his podcast. Well, sorry, it's not his podcast. Another podcast he went on, and he went on Liam Tufts. It's just I can never remember his name. I've got it written down. So he went on Liam Tufts' podcast a few weeks ago, and I thought, yeah, he's done all right here. He's explained it a lot better than he did with Andrew Gold. So I thought, is remigration actually feasible? Is it actually feasible? Because it's all well and good saying, oh, I want everybody gone that's not English. Now, the problem with it, and it's like Steve Laws did say, the left are always going to throw it out and say, yeah, but how far back do you go? What percentage? And he's correct. That is going to be thrown out straight away. Now, I know I'm 95% English. I've done the DNA testing via Ancestry. So I know what it says. I'm 95% English. I've got a great grandfather that came from the Republic of Ireland. So technically, I would be one of the people that he would want to leave England, because I have a great grandfather, which was my nan's dad, who came from the Republic of Ireland. Okay, I never met the guy. Died before I was even born. Okay, but if you go by his 150 years, yeah, it would be within the 150 years. Okay, technically, I should leave England, because I have a relative that does that, which wouldn't make me completely English at the end of the day. But the reality is, and as he said at the end of the Liam Tufts podcast, a lot of the people that are in agreement with him and are even more extreme than himself are younger people. And the irony about politics and anything political, people, as you get older, your views change. So it always used to be said that when you're just leaving school, okay, you tend to be more of like a Liberal Democrat to the left or a Labour voter. And then when you start growing up and you go and buy a car, and when you want to get a house and you're having to start paying tax, you start going to the right. That's what historically happens. Because, like I say, you're either going to be paying rent or a mortgage. You're going to be paying for a car. You may start up a business, so you can start paying taxes that way. And you're going to have children, and you're going to realise how little money you really have. So you tend to go to the Conservative way, because they're generally seen as a party for lower taxes at the end of the day. And when I actually listened to him, and I've done a couple of these videos about him, I thought, is it really feasible? And why do people want to go down this route? So I thought, right, let's look at the migration numbers, because the funny thing of what he said when he spoke to Liam Tufts was, he said he's not actually that bothered about the illegal immigration numbers, because they're not that big. He is bothered about it, but not as bothered as legal migration. So I went in, did a bit of fact checking, and I understand where he's coming from, because I've said for a long time the biggest issue in this country, and I think it's a bit like there's another podcast and I can't remember what their names are, and the question I always trigger, whatever they're called, okay, those two guys always say, what should we be talking about now that we're not? And my view is one of the biggest talking points that we should be talking about is legal migration. And this is what he's actually spoken about. Because if you look at the facts, and this is net migration, so this takes ins and outs into account. Okay, so net migration up until June this year was 204,000 estimated. So these are estimated figures. 2024, 431,000. 2023, 672,000. And 2022, 745,000. Now, to give you a general idea, okay, illegal migration since 2022 up into New Year's Eve, okay, so that's a 4-year period, okay, of the people that they know that have come into the country. Obviously there's going to be ones that have managed to slip under the net, is only 153,000, which is still a heck of a lot, okay, but that's nowhere near what legal migration was for last year. Just legal migration. Okay, so to give you an idea, on that 4-year period, our net migration, so our population increased just for legal migration of over 2 million. Okay, so it increased just due to legal migration. Now, if you take illegal migration into account, it works out at over 2.2 million people. That's a lot of people. You know, if you take, for instance, I grew up in Southampton. Population of Southampton's around about 400,000. So that's 5 Southamptons. If you put Southampton and Portsmouth together, that's about 800. So that's Portsmouth and Southampton twice, more than that. Nearly what, 3 times of Portsmouth and Southampton both put together, population wise. You'd fill them up 3 times, which is absolutely, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy that that amount has been allowed to continually come in for 4 years. And the reality is, whether people want to hear it or not, it's crazy that our politicians have allowed this to happen and not done anything about it. Now, when it comes to Steve Laws, I don't think he's right when he says remigration is the answer, because I don't think that's going to happen. Even if you go 150 years or you go 40 years, okay, whatever, it's not going to happen. I understand where he's coming from, where he does the big ask and basically says, I want to go back 100 years, and anybody that's come to the UK in that period of time, they go back to their home country. It's not going to happen. And that's the big ask. Even the last 20 years, I don't think that's going to happen. What I do think does need to happen, and even this I think is unrealistic, it's going to happen. Well, it's realistic, but it's not going to happen, is basically the government close the doors and basically say, we're not going to take any more in We're going to sort out what we actually need. We're going to process all the ones that have come in, that are in the hotels, that are not legitimate. Okay, we're just going to send them straight back. Okay, end of story. They just get sent straight back. Okay. And then you've got to, in my view, go down a route of saying, if you're coming to this country, and you want to come to this country, if you come illegally, you will automatically be deported. But if you apply from a legal point of view and you can offer something to the country, say for instance you're a doctor, or you're a nurse, or you're a plumber, or you're an electrician, or whatever, and you can actually offer something to the country that the country requires, and you stay as a legally law-abiding citizen, I don't think most people would be bothered. I really don't. And some people may say, oh, you're left-wing or you're centre-right or whatever. I'm not far-right. I normally explain myself as centre-right. Now, going by that way, to me, that's realistic. I appreciate people like Steve Laws aren't going to buy into something like that. Not in a month of Sundays. But I see that as being a realistic way. And maybe it's just that I'm old or getting old. Because the way that he wants to do it, I just don't see any way it's feasible to do it. Because I always got brought up, and the way I look at politics as well, is you've got to be realistic. You've got to be realistic. And this is the problem I have with the likes of Nigel Farage. Everything that he says isn't realistic. Okay, so in my point of view is I think you've got to be realistic on the way you're going to go about it. So what I think needs to happen, personally, is you go back, you stop all migration at the moment, you close the borders, okay, and basically look at what you want to achieve and where we're actually going to go and what we actually want to do as a country, and move from there. So let us know in the comments down below what you think. Is Steve Laws correct? Okay, so that's the first thing I want to know. Steve Laws correct? If he's not correct and he's wrong, okay, let me know in the comments down below what we should do about migration. And when I say migration, I mean legal migration and illegal migration. So let us know in the comments down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you again a bit later.